before I leave,
Yeah, we wanna
I'd like to introduce the other candidates for office that graciously came today. The Attorney General candidate, Mike Peroutka.
Cool.
I have to run.
Oh, wow.
I have to go, but I wanted to just make a quick comment. I didn't really want to take the floor, Dan, but I just wanted to comment on when we were talking about the Bill of Rights a couple of moments ago.
Yes.
I don't know if you realize, but Maryland has a Bill of Rights.
Right.
Yes.
There's a Maryland Constitution,
Right.
and there's a Maryland Bill of Rights. It's called the Declaration of
Right.
Rights.
Yeah.
And the discussion we were having earlier is very important, because the Bill of Rights and the Constitution is the vehicle by which we express consent to the governed. In other words, we have government by consent of the governed. Our consent is, the vehicle for that consent is the Constitution. So to the extent that the government follows the Constitution, then it has our consent.
Right.
You say it has our consent, but to the extent that they violate the Constitution, they don't have our consent. And the reason that's important is because for the last 2 years, the lockdowns, the mandates, the closing of the churches, the violations of our freedom to assemble, the violations of our personal bodily autonomy have all been illegal. They've
Right.
all been unlawful. And it doesn't matter what you thought about the science, whether you thought the science was good or the science was bad. I thought the science was absurd and self-contradictory and ridiculous, etc. But even if you thought the science was perfect, it doesn't matter because it was still unlawful. It doesn't matter about the science. So we have to make sure, first of all, that stops. And the reason I'm running for Attorney General is because I want it to never happen again. And in order for it to never happen again, those who have done it need to be brought to justice.
Absolutely.
And that includes everybody from county officials, and health officials, and government and state officials. We have had lawlessness. We're talking about the lawlessness that's happened in our culture, the murders. Lawlessness starts at the top. Lawlessness breeds lawlessness.
Thank you.
Lawlessness breeds lawlessness. And we've had lawlessness at the top of our government. And unless those things are redressed, ladies and gentlemen, unless those things are redressed and those people brought to justice, we don't have a constitution, we don't have a rule of law, and nothing else is going to work.
Right.
We don't have a deal. We don't have a consent of the governed, and we're just slaves. We're all slaves. And if they can tell you what you have to put in your body, they have to go right in your body. You are a slave.
That's what I'm
So all of these things have been unlawful. That's the thing you have to remember. The TV and all, they're going to try to convince you that, oh, there was an emergency. It doesn't matter. Article 44 of the Maryland Declaration of Rights says this. I'm going to try to quote it to you. It says, the provisions of the Constitution of the United States and of this state, being Maryland, apply as well in times of war as in times of peace, and no deviation therefrom or violation thereof based on a plea of necessity, like a pandemic, or any other plea. The law says, the Constitution says, you can't violate people's rights based on any other plea or a plea of necessity, or any other plea. It doesn't make it valid. There's no COVID-19 exception to the Bill of Rights. There's no COVID-19 exception to the Maryland Declaration of Rights. There's the lawlessness at the very top of government has to be redressed. Liberty forever, mandates never. Say that.
Liberty forever, mandates never.
One more time. Liberty forever, mandates never.